Hello world, welcome to Ctrl+Alt+Danominator. My name is Dan, and this is the device, although I guess you could say we're more entering gadget territory now. Yep, it's the first keyboard we've ever looked at for this channel, which means it's finally time to talk about them. Alright, so I'm gonna hit you guys with like a hypothetical scenario, okay? Let's say you're like me. Yeah, I know. The number of people who can say yes to that is going to drastically decrease the longer this channel exists, but just hear me out, okay? So let's say you have a whole bunch of different devices, which means you try to have a whole bunch of unified accessories for them so that you can easily switch them to other devices whenever you need a different setup. And let's say that earlier last year you purchased the Lenovo Yoga Tab Plus, and it happened to be the Korean version, which means your keyboard is in Korean, and no matter how much you love the tablet, it's starting to drive you a little much because of how many extra characters are on the keyboard itself. We've all been there. Well, that's where this thing comes in, and the only reason I have it, and I repeat, the only reason I have it, is because of Staples of all things. I'm kind of surprised by this, but the local Staples in my area actually closed down a few months ago. This was kind of unprecedented, even though we have other Staples in the area. I just thought they were gonna last longer, you know? But nah, man, this one just straight up cleared everything out. And as a matter of fact, it's because of that they were doing a massive clearance sale. They didn't want to keep any of this stuff in the store, which really surprises me. I figured that they would just ship it somewhere else, but maybe they just thought it was too much work, which I guess that's also fair. Now you have to understand, all of the big name brands were pretty much exempt from this discount. So Amazon, Apple, believe it or not, there's actually Nintendo stuff at Staples, and they'll occasionally have video games for like clearance level prices, and I'm not making this up. But all of those brands were exempt from the sale because of course they were. The one that wasn't, that I found as I was walking through the store, was Logitech. I have a very love-hate relationship with this company, as in I love to use their stuff and I hate how expensive it's getting. I'm not sure what it is, but it just feels like Logitech has gotten a real big head in recent years because, oh my goodness, this keyboard is something else, man. So I did walk away with a couple of things from this sale. I ended up getting this keyboard, which is the Logitech Keys-To-Go 2, and a USB-C hub. You can never have too many of those. I do believe I came back one more time and I got like a few small things because they actually increased the discount from 50% off to 75%. They were really trying to clear out this place. But I walked away with this keyboard. You might be wondering, well, how much could it have been at base price? $80 US. I am not making this up. The Logitech Keys-To-Go 2 is $80 MSRP. This little thing? Really? Are you sure about that? Yes, I am not making this up. You can look it up on pretty much any store. It is still available at Staples and Best Buy and Amazon, all for the same price. It rarely goes on sale, and when it does, it's usually 60 bucks. All of this for a Bluetooth keyboard that supports up to 3 devices and is very slim, and that's it. You've got to be kidding me, right? But truth be told, I have been looking at this keyboard for a little while, so it was very opportune that I walked in and they only had one of these left. So I decided to pick it up and put it in my phone travel bag. Finally get to talk about this thing. Yeah, this is my phone travel bag, which basically just means it has all the accessories I might need when I'm out and about, and I need my phone to do a little extra, like, you know, Samsung DeX, or I just want to plug it into a monitor or something. So in here, I've got the USB-C hub, which is actually not the one I picked up at the sale, but it is pretty good. And of course, let's see what else is in here. Oh, wait a minute. What? Yeah, this is gonna come back up later, so I feel like I should just put this away for now. You'll see when I get to that thing. But yeah, the main reason I wanted this keyboard is because of its slim profile, being able to switch between multiple devices so it can be used on my phone and of course my tablets, but it also just so happens to fit perfectly in this bag. Look at that, I'm ready to go. This is my tech support bag most of the time. This is really all I need because phones can just do that much now. Yeah, so I got this at half off, which was $40, but even that for a keyboard is a little much, no matter how many features they've packed into this thing. So let's get straight into it because I have a lot to say about this guy. First off is the design. I mean, you can see it. This thing is so incredibly slim. And honestly, that is obviously the best part about it. I mean, it literally looks like the size of an Apple Magic trackpad. It's almost around the exact same form factor. And it's funny I mention Apple because they will come up again, but you can see that this thing was meant to emulate that kind of style. Logitech and Apple actually work pretty well together most of the time. They seem to be pretty good friends. Right over there, you can see my reverse Oreo cookie iPad is no longer wearing the Magic Keyboard. It's actually using a Logitech case. So I've come to appreciate that kind of form factor and Logitech's general style of keyboards and cases. But let's just take a look at this thing first. I mean, it is really sleek, really thin, and I guess that's mainly what you're supposed to be paying for besides the multi-device connectivity, but like, the thing is, Logitech has other keyboards, and a lot of them, and I mean, I really do mean a lot of them, have 3-device functionality. This one does too. So I guess you're paying for the ultra portability of this thing, but there are some trade-offs to a device being this slim, which we will get into as the review goes along. So I'm really trying to understand how they ever expected this to sell at $80, but all right, I'm gonna stop myself before I keep going on about prices. Let's open this thing up. All right, open it up like a Surface Duo. Haha, here we go. So the device flips around back and then just magnetizes like that. So now what it's done is it's essentially elevated itself just a little bit extra so that it can be used relatively comfortably. Got the function keys to go over here. We have escape acting as function lock if you need it. This is the multi-device switcher, which means that you can swap devices on the fly, which is very nice. We've got the brightness keys, we've got a task switcher, emoji button, screen capture, play, pause, mute, volume up and volume down, and of course a lock button. This is a pretty good row of function keys overall. I mean, I feel like having an emoji button is kind of weird, especially because that's more of an iOS thing, but I suppose it's useful. Maybe not to me as much as it is to some other people. But I guess I can't think of anything else I would really want on the function keys for the most part. I'm pretty good to go otherwise, so yeah, I guess this is all right, all things considered. And now, of course, we have to get into the keyboard feel, and you know what? It's all right. Obviously, this thing is not meant to be as clacky as something like a mechanical keyboard. I've actually got one sitting below me. You can't see it, but now you definitely know it's there. I like that kind of keyboard, but I've gotten so used to these from having tablets and laptops over the years that honestly, having keys this thin doesn't bug me. Now, there's something I should mention, bringing up Apple again. There was a very short period of time where MacBooks came with the thinnest keys possible because Apple was obsessed with touchscreens and they wanted typing to feel exactly like a touchscreen. It was miserable and bad, and I don't know why anybody liked it. Fortunately, these actually have a little more travel to them. It is not much, and I know it looks ridiculously thin, but actually, when you push down on something like the spacebar, you can see it does have a little give. And so when you're traveling around on the keyboard here, it does feel pretty natural. So hello world, my name is Danominator. It's pretty intuitive for the most part. And I honestly do think that despite being really thin, which is obviously the point of this, they've put it all into a very nice form factor. You can actually see the top of the case here has a bit of a lip so that when you close it, none of the keys are even close to being pressed, so it's not going to wear them down over time. So yeah, honestly, typing experience is pretty good on this, and I will show you it in just a little bit. But there's something else I want to go over before we move on. You might have noticed that there's no power button on the front of this thing, but that is actually because it is right here. What is that? Well, that is the reason that this thing doesn't have USB-C charging. This runs on 2 cell batteries. What? Honestly, this really baffles me. I mean, they are genuinely common batteries from what I understand, so it's not a problem. And again, they say that this keyboard will run for like 3 years without needing a charge, but why would you do this? Batteries have gotten so thin over the last few years. You don't need to lock it down like this. Check this out. This doesn't even run with standard screws. It's got the 6-point screws on it. Who is supposed to be replacing this? Logitech? I mean, if you don't have an iFixit kit, you probably can't change out these very simple button cell batteries yourself. I'm gonna have to knock it a point for that because that is such a weird thing to not include. Just like, put Philips on here. We don't need anything besides that. And I kind of understand, I guess, why they didn't want to put a rechargeable battery in here. I mean, this thing really is thin. I suppose they could use some of those new silicon carbon batteries, I think they're called, but maybe those haven't been tested enough here yet in the States. That's fine. I just feel like not putting Philips here is kind of weird. Maybe they expect people to call Logitech if they need their keyboard battery replaced? I don't know. I get this thing is supposed to be portable, but that does not excuse having weird screws. So just keep that in mind. If you pick up one of these, you might need a mini tool set nearby. All right, here we go. It's back. The Lenovo Yoga Tab Plus, which I have now been spending quite a few months with. And I have to say, so many positive things to say about this tablet. But for now, we're gonna open it up and immediately reject one of its parts. Yeah, this is the keyboard that it came with, and as you all know, it's got the Korean lettering on it because I imported it. But we're gonna get rid of this thing because right now, we want to have a wireless keyboard, and this is not that. So, sorry buddy, you'll get your turn eventually, I'm sure. Gonna just hold these two up for a second. Look at that. It is even smaller, if you can believe it. It's thinner than the entirety of this tablet, which actually means if I put it in a bag, it fits perfectly, which again, is the whole point of this thing, is that it can basically fit anywhere. The only major differences I'm noticing are some of the function keys are a little different, and the D-pad. I actually kind of prefer this sort of D-pad if you're going to have an ultra-thin keyboard, because if you're typing around here, your fingers are less likely to bump into the left and right arrow keys. It's fine. There's actually a little more space between the keys here than there are on this one, so it's negligible, but that's a very specific use case. The point is that this thing is very thin, but I don't think it's too small. You can see it's only like maybe 1 or 2 keys smaller than a quote-unquote more standard keyboard size. I'd say this is pretty standard. It's probably closer to something like a Chromebook or a small laptop like a Surface. So this is trying to emulate something and take up even less space than that. So let's give it a try. Gonna flip the switch right here, and after a few seconds, you can see it's on device 2. Bam, my device immediately woke up and it is automatically working, which is awesome. This thing pairs extremely quickly, and I will say, changing devices on it is also very snappy, probably some of the fastest I've ever used. But how's the typing experience? Hello world, my name is Danominator. Honestly, this is pretty impressive. I will say the typing experience, while being pretty good on this thing, is a little different than most keyboards you might use. For some reason, there's like a bit of a coarse material on here. You can only kind of see it when I have the reflection. I'm not really sure why they did that besides texture, and maybe it's supposed to be easier to grip, but it's honestly not really much of a problem. I can also mess around with these keys. We've got the brightness working perfectly as it's supposed to. Task switch button also works here too. It works natively on everything I've tried. The emoji button does not seem to work on Android, which is kind of annoying. You still have to do Alt period, I believe, for some reason. I don't know why they made it that way. But it doesn't really activate anything on here, so I'm not sure why that is, but whatever. I also want to say that the screenshot button works natively, but it doesn't seem to like this tablet in particular. I have used it on my S23 Ultra, this keyboard, and it's worked perfectly fine, so I'm not sure why it disagrees with this one, but maybe it's just not a thing built into every Android, who can say? I've tested all the media keys here and they work fine. The lock button does not seem to work on this one either, even though it worked on Samsung. So I don't know, maybe this is just an Android compatibility thing, but for some reason, every now and then I'll have an issue with one of these keys on Android, but other than that, they all work fine. Like the important ones work, right? The task switcher, the brightness, and the volume, they all do exactly what they're supposed to do. So overall, this thing works great. Now, I will say I have tested it on multiple devices now. My S23 Ultra, which literally everything worked perfectly. The iPad Pro, just for giggles, even though that keyboard is extremely similar to this one. And of course, the Lenovo Yoga Tab Plus here. I actually paired it to my laptop once when I needed to do some on-the-go work, and it also worked natively perfectly fine. So overall, I'd say compatibility is pretty good. And again, being able to switch between devices in mere seconds, you can see that that button didn't even have to blink. It's just paired to the phone I'm currently filming with. Now, if I go back here, you can see almost immediately we are back to typing. And again, the typing is very fast. You can see how quickly it keeps up. This is the reason that you go for a Logitech keyboard, because unlike a lot of third-party keyboards I've used, I have not had any double types on this thing. I have had no connection issues, no delay. It all just works. And I have used other keyboards in this kind of size format, including some of the ones that fold in half. This is the only one I have used where the typing experience is basically flawless. So I suppose you could say, compared to other competitors, if you did manage to get this at half off, then yeah, I would say it's worth it. I mean, especially because of the form factor, how easily it slips into a bag. It's not overly loud, even though the keys do still have a little sound to them. I feel like this is a very good mobile keyboard, but for goodness sake, don't get it at $80. I still cannot believe. Oh, cripes, it's the price of Mario Kart World. Uh-oh, leaking into the other channel topics here. I gotta stop myself now. But that's all I really had to say about this keyboard. I can't exactly rate the battery. I've only had this for a few months. And actually, you can't really see the battery level of this thing in your device's menu. It's gonna be based on that little tiny green power light. Eventually, this will change color when it first wakes up. So I guess I'll have to get back to you on that in a few years maybe, but as of now, the thing is working fine. So that's really the only other thing I could potentially rate about it. I just find it very interesting that Logitech got such a big head with this, because if they hadn't overpriced it, this thing might actually be really popular, but I've literally heard nobody talk about it, which I think it honestly is, because $80 keyboards are kind of insane. There's no backlight on this. There is no trackpad below. There's really nothing extra to this keyboard. It is just a very solid Bluetooth, Android or iOS or even Windows typing experience, and that's it. It's not meant to be more, which is kind of a shame, you know? You could probably do more for the price point. I guess the only other thing I could really say is if you wanted it to be even thinner for some reason, you could put it here and just have it sitting like that. But that's literally it. There's not much else to talk about with this thing, and that's why it makes the $80 price tag so ridiculous. But I guess for $40, I can't say I have much to complain about, and this has actually become my go-to keyboard if I'm out and about. So I guess you could say for that reason alone, it's been worth the money to me. But for goodness sake, don't buy this thing at full price. You can do so much better. And I mean, those third-party keyboards do occasionally still have some issues, but they're not this much, and that is probably the biggest draw to them. But let me know what you guys think. Do you have a keyboard like this, or perhaps a third-party one of a similar form factor that works for you? If you know of any that are really consistent like this one, please tell me about it, because honestly, I'd love to cover it on the channel perhaps. There are a lot of other keyboards I'd like to talk about in the future actually, another one from Logitech at some point, but that's a story for another day, and as a matter of fact, it's on its way here right now, so who knows, maybe I'll get to talk about it soon. But that's gonna be all for this video, so thank you everyone for watching Ctrl+Alt+Danominator, and I'll see you later, tech heads.